For DS Simon's Vlog Views, I'm Mike Bako coming to you from the PR News Digital Summit, and we're joined by Gemma Craven from Ogilvy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So what are some of the mistakes that brands and organizations make when they're putting together their digital media team, social media team?
I think that one big mistake is trying to force fit one candidate into a role that's not their core skill set. So trying to retain talent by shoving them into a digital team, for example, is not the way to go, because ultimately you don't end up with the specialism that you need. I think not looking outside of the core areas that you know, so embracing people from different backgrounds. We all came to this space in one way or another. There isn't a traditional kind of training program for social media, as so to speak. It's not like journalism, it hasn't been around for that long. And I think not allowing kind of digital and social creatives the flexibility to be just that. I think we focus a lot on billing, as we should do. It's our business and it's how we make money, but I also think you need to give people room to think and really be creative, otherwise you don't get the kind of programs that really generate word of mouth and are really remarkable.
And you need to find the right people to fit into the right spots, but when the landscape is changing so much and we have new social media avenues that you want to use, how do you find people to, are you constantly on the lookout for a younger person who may have their finger on the pulse that, say, someone that's more established wouldn't, or how do you incorporate new people with new technologies?
It's a great question. So I think I look for people with a curiosity to learn about new technologies. None of us know everything about everything. It's always evolving, and if you're someone that is curious and always learning, then you will learn about the new stuff. You'll make the partnerships that you need. I think that it's really important you understand who can be client-facing and who can't. There may be some people who are great, have a deep knowledge on one platform, are very creative, but they're not great at the client management, which is also very important. So kind of understanding that definition, not just assuming that someone's age means they're brilliant at everything. There's certainly, I think, the younger team members have got I'm going to use the term digital native because it explains what I'm trying to say, but ultimately kind of grew up with these technologies. Yeah, there we go, thank you. But just assuming that's because they can use the platforms means they can work in a certain environment with a certain client is a false step. You really need to assess what the need is, what the talent set that you need, and how to really bring that in the right way for the specific role.
And then finally, when you talk about client-facing representatives, how do you finesse that? If you want someone that's client-facing to be a little bit more veteran, but say you're going after a startup business or someone that's a little bit more tech-savvy, and you don't necessarily want to have a gray-haired guy or woman standing there trying to make your pitch, how do you finesse that?
I've always thought that this is very much like it's like matchmaking, dating. I think you need to cast your team according to who's going to work well with your client, and ever more, particularly in a very fast-moving space, you need to make sure that your team is an extension of your client's team. And if you don't get the casting right, then you can kind of make those switches. You can also coach people in client management. That's certainly something that I think is very important, and you can't overlook that. And you certainly, like I said before, not everybody would be a client-facing part of the team, as with other parts of the PR world too. It's not everyone automatically is the client lead. So you really have to think carefully about that, and I think that's my way around it.
All right, thanks for giving us something to think about.